Welcome, everybody, to the European Challenger Series, brought to you thanks in part to our friends at Coca-Cola. I'm David Freak Turley. Alongside me is Aiden Zyrene Moon. Sup with it?
Not much, Freak. How's it going with you?
It's going pretty well, man. Got the preview show under wraps. Got a lot of puns out
Really
there, so they might be on cooldown, but we got some good games. So we're into the semifinals now. Only 4 teams remain, because that's how semifinals work. Today's match is between the #1 seed Ninjas in Pajamas, featuring Alex Ich, and the 5th seed Gamers 2, featuring Ocelot.
Yeah, this matchup features former pro players looking to battle their way back into the LCS. But Ninjas in Pajamas are dealing with an extra hurdle in their journey. They now have 2 brand new teammates after releasing Nukeduck and Mythy for their season-ending suspensions.
Yeah, so replacing Mythy's NIP spot is a familiar face, an actual former support for Gambit and Cloud9 Eclipse. Voidal also used to play with Alex Ich, and he's going to be and also replacing Nukeduck in the mid lane is Exile, formerly of SK Gaming Prime. So today's match will show if NIP has enough time to gel against Gamers 2, whose roster has actually been together since the beginning of the 2014 season.
Yeah, Gamers 2 actually has the longest standing roster of the Challenger Series, so if they have an edge today, it's their teamwork and familiarity with one another. Gamers 2 has never made it to the Challenger semifinals before, but if they can take advantage of a patchwork NIP team, they could advance even further and get their trip to London.
That'd be awesome. We'll see if they can do it. Of course, going to London means you actually made it to the grand finals of Challenger Spring Series 1, and so let's take a look at the bracket and see where all these teams are heading. Ninjas in Pajamas and Gamers 2 are today's semifinal matchup on the top side of the bracket. Both those teams swept their quarterfinal opponents.
And tomorrow's semifinal match also features 2 teams who were dominant in the last round. It's Loveland Shore and H2K Gaming.
And so with wins in the Challenger Series also come Challenger Series points. Here's the score as of right now. Now, all 4 teams in the semifinals, which is Gamers 2, H2K Gaming, Loveland Shore, and Ninjas in Pajamas, they're all tied for first place with at least 4 points guaranteed. This also means they can keep playing, of course, and earn more points, up to 9 points for first place.
Yeah, and everyone else in the Summer 1 tournament, Denial Esports, Chantal Makhtavao, SK Gaming Prime, and Unicorns of Love have been eliminated, and 1 point is the most they can earn in Series 1. Now they have to go back to the ladder and requalify for Summer Series 2 in order to carry over those points.
So see if they can do it. And of course, these numbers can be a lot to remember, but fear not, the men and women at lolesports.com have volunteered to support.
Under the Leagues and Tournaments tab, you'll find scores, schedules, and everything else you need to follow the Challenger Series and the LCS all season long.
You know, so Braum is finally here, but my vote for most OP support goes to lolesports.com.
Yeah, plus, they won't steal your kills.
Yeah, those frickin' support players, those are my kills. Today's best of 3 matchup between Ninjas in Pajamas and Gamers 2 is just about to get going. So let's take a look at, that NIP new roster, right? Alex Ich still top laning, by the way, if you guys didn't know that. He's top laner for those guys. Ko in the jungle has been awesome. Exile, the new mid laner. Freeze, the only kind of remaining member of NIP from way back when, and Voidal, the new support pickup.
Yeah, Voidal's a very great support pickup. When I heard that Mythy was going to be out for the suspension in the season, I immediately thought that Voidal would be the pickup there because he wasn't on any teams, and we talked about him last week. I was like, where is he? He's somewhere in the Voidal right now. And they ended up picking him up, and I was like, yeah, he's a great player. He's top 5 in Challenger and EU West and solo queue, just been grinding it out by himself. So it's a great pickup there. Exile has a very similar play style to Nukeduck, so he's going to mesh with the team very quickly. And Alex did have the option to move back to mid, but he opted to stay top because currently in mid, all you need to know is matchups, whereas in top, you need to know 2v1s, you need to know where to go in the early game, and it's a lot easier to mess up.
Yeah, exactly. Competitive play is a lot different from solo queue. Mid laners kind of have the same things going on. Top laners have a bunch of crazy stuff, so that makes a whole lot of sense. On the other side, though, Gamers 2, honestly, they continue to look really, really scary. Their bot lane duo, Dude. Yeah, it screwed me up because the name was right there. But yeah, Dude and Yuki have a 96 KDA in their 4 games.
Hopefully they can go for 100 here.
Yeah.
And the big thing about that, too, is if you look at Dude's just flat out score, he has 2 kills and 46 assists. That's a support that doesn't steal your kills. They are an assist train, 16, 0, and 80.
Yep.
They basically just go even in lane, get some kills for themselves, transition it into the mid game, and it's like, oh yeah, Ocelot, that's right, JWoww, Morden, we're just all going to group up, and we'll be the constant damage and the CC you need in the fights.
Yeah, and it's worked really well for them overall. I got to say, this is a pretty strong lineup. Of course, they're facing a new bot lane, which will be interesting. Freeze and Mythy did pretty well for themselves overall, but of course, you've got Voidal coming in here now instead, and that's going to be maybe difficult for NIP to deal with.
Yeah, it's going to be a hurdle that they definitely have to leap over. Voidal, he doesn't fall short in individual skill, but meshing with your AD carry is of the utmost importance. You are sharing that lane with them. You need to get the synergy down. And Freeze and Mythy, they had really good synergy. They had flat out fantastic synergy. And I don't know how much time Voidal has had to mesh with them. It's been about 5 days. I don't know how long he's been in the house, because NIP does have a house. They have an analyst, too, who's been helping them out recently.
Yeah.
So they were trying to up their game as much as possible so they can give themselves as much as an edge so they can get back into the LCS, because all these players are very hungry for that.
Yeah.
In this bottom lane here, Yuki and Dude, no deaths, 4 games. They average a 24 KDA per game. Dude averages, what is that, 10, 20? He averages about 12, 11.
He averages 12 KDA a game himself.
Oh,
they both get 12.
It's a disgusting lane.
Yeah, it's great.
It's a disgusting lane. It's like 20 assists per game in
wonderful.
that bottom lane.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is crazy.
But they show up, man.
Oh, and then you compare it over to what Freeze and Mithy had, and it's like, oh, you got a single-digit KDA?
Who needs
We're going for triples over here.
I mean, wouldn't that be great though, right? You're like, yeah, on one corner, right? like imagine a boxing announcer. It's like in the left corner, weighing 75 kilograms, at height of 2 meters. On the other side, it's like, yeah, this guy's got 100 KDA. He's got a 9.7. You're like,
it's the mountain weighing 420 pounds.
Yeah, it's
versus me.
Yeah, you'd get destroyed. So would I if I were fighting these guys, for what it's worth. Anyway, guys, we are on a champ select, as you can tell. Ninjas in Pajamas dropping the Lucian away from Yuki. The Kassadin dropped away from Exile. Now, this is 4.9. It is the slightly nerfed Kassadin. Braum also up. I want to see if that comes through, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, Braum didn't make it today into any of the games in EU LCS. Might see some play here today. People are leaving him for last ban because they're trying to bait people into banning it first.
Yeah.
They're more afraid of it. But right now, the thing is that Voidal has been known by trade as a Thresh player. Same with Dude. Dude plays a ton of Thresh and a ton of Morgana. So even if Braum goes through, those two are going to be open, and they do pretty well against Braum.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting test. It's funny to watch all the LCS players only recently started playing a bunch of Braum in solo queue because they were practicing for the patch they were on, and everyone's rushing for it now. First pick Jax does come through though to Alex Ich. No Braum bans either, but no one's picking it up.
All right, I'm a little concerned here because Alex Ich, he's relatively new to the top lane. He's basically been playing mages there. His interview that I saw that was done with him, he's saying Kayle, Lulu are right up his alley because he played them mid lane for a very long time. Jax, that's actually something I haven't seen in his champion pool before. I've seen him play Ryze, Shyvana, Lulu, Kayle, Soraka. Haven't seen a Jax from him yet.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get that from him today. See if he can hard carry with that.
And we're going to see Braum in there as well. And speaking of hard carries, Twitch also backing it up. So a freaking ton of damage output for the Ninjas in Pajamas lineup with a Braum to hold the front line, and we'll see what comes in for mid and jungle.
Yeah, a big thing here is that when it went over to the 1-2 spots for Gamers 2, they immediately locked in Morden's favorite champion, which is also Ko's favorite champion.
True.
Ko is known for his Lee Sin play. You cannot give him Lee Sin. And Ko is he's a very big facilitator of his team. His KDA doesn't reflect how good of a player he actually is because he's sitting at just a 4. But he has a lot of deaths because he goes in, kicks people back, and sacrifices himself, but he got your AD carry.
Yeah, true.
And so because they ended up taking Lee Sin away from Ko, they ended up giving up Twitch and Braum. A hyper carry with Braum, who's unbreakable, makes it so you can't hit people behind him, is incredibly potent when you combine it with a Twitch for late game or a Vayne.
It's true.
It not get to him.
Well, at the very least, Shyvana can. She just walks in there and goes, Dragon Form, rah! And
Shield! Can't.
I mean,
right through it.
Yeah, he'll go right through the shield there. So, or I guess she will, as the case is for genders. But this is interesting. So I feel like NIP did a great job with their champs, because they got they basically got 3 really awesome high contested picks, and Gamers 2 only got 2 here. So I like the initial setup. Exactly, yeah, I like the initial setup here. We'll see how much the Lee Sin denial matters here against Ko. It's all we've seen him play so far in the Challenger Series. Morden, as you mentioned, his favorite. Shyvana vs. Jax is a matchup that I feel like traditionally goes Jax's way, but as you talked about, Alex doesn't play the champion a whole bunch. We are going to see, looks like, a Cleanse Twisted Fate come in for Exile here in the mid lane. And that's going to be, of course, against Lulu.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how that works out for him. He hasn't locked that in just yet. And there we go. Okay, so the Twisted Fate is going to allow him to start ganking other lanes, whether it is going for the Braum, who has a lot of gank assistance, or going after the Jax, who has that as well. And at the same time, Ko on Evelynn could be anywhere. It's Schrodinger's Evelynn.
Yes.
If you don't see her, she'd be anywhere. She'd be right next to you, and they're going to coordinate their ganks if this team has had enough time to synergize with Exile so that he can TF ulti into where Ko is ganking. So it's going to be a really big thing here. There's a lot of stealth on this team between the two members. And a big thing here is that he's pretty much forced on Evelynn at this point because Ko's style, his second most played was Kha'Zix.
Yeah.
And Kha'Zix took some hits in 4.9, to the point where people are still relearning, seeing if he's viable in the jungle. So Evelynn fits his playstyle more than Elise does. He likes roaming around the map very early. He likes giving up himself for the kills and diving. totally his style.
Yeah, high progressive counter jungler as well, and
Yes.
it does seem to be a little bit easier on Evelynn than on Elise, so I agree with you in this one. Yuki is going to get the Kog'Maw here, so Cog Thresh is a good lane. You've got the safety to pull him out of tough situations, but yeah, you talk about how scary TF Eve is going to be. I agree with that. You've got either ganking for a Braum with exhaust lane on one side with Voidal, or you're ganking for a a Jax who can leap, strike, and stun. So kind of no matter where he goes, Gamers 2 is going to have to be a bit afraid of this one, and I want to see this matchups play out.
Yeah, and a big thing here is that he actually swapped the cleanse over for Ghost, which is much more typical of a Twisted Fate. I was watching the CC, and I was like, Gamers 2 doesn't really have anything that he should cleanse out of for the most part. So it was
dodge hooks and you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I assume Voidal is going to get him Mikhail's eventually. It's possible.
Par for the course.
It's very cheap, very great item against Thresh. You can go ahead and break the chain.
Yeah, it's great.
And
if you time it right, you can jump in there as like it gets broken.
That's true.
You'll at least remove the stun.
You do it very quickly.
Yeah.
But the Ghost on Twisted Fate is going to allow him to chase people down. And the thing here is Exile. Very similar playstyle to Nuke Duck. We see him playing Twisted Fate. There's a champion that Nuke Duck went to multiple times back when he was in the LCS. And coming up big with it. So they banned out actually Yasuo Kassadin to force him onto this champion. So they're well aware of Exile's champion pool. He's formerly from SK Gaming Prime, the one that we didn't see earlier.
Yeah.
He was on
the one from
a
Spring.
season ago. Yes,
or the one from Spring, not the one from this one. Yeah,
exactly.
I like talked over your point. Sorry.
That's fine. He's tried and true. Thank you for helping me there.
Yeah.
Just leading me through it here. But yeah, Ocelot on Lulu. He played it previously, came up with a 6.5 KDA for himself back in the round of 20. And since then, he's basically been handed really hyper carry type champions. He got a Caston, he got a Nidalee. Now he's on that support type mid laner, and he has a Kog'Maw. This is basically a keep the Kog'Maw safe.
Absolutely it is.
Is what this is going for here.
Yeah. And what works well in keep the Kog'Maw safe comps, this is something I've sort of, because I've been watching Kog'Maw, watching the team comps, so he's a champion I like to play. I've been looking at like what types of teams work with Cog. You can't just go full peel. If you go full peel, the enemy team actually walks over you.
Yes.
You actually have to have guys go in there and like start things up. Like I like that Shyvana and Lee Sin are gonna probably go in and start a fight. Lulu wild growth to Shyvana, and you've got all this havoc being wreaked or wreak havoc. I forget which one that is actually the pronunciation of that word. Causing havoc for the Gamers 2 front line. There we go. That's gonna work. And then you don't have an option but to deal with those guys and leave Kog'Maw alone. So I actually think this is a very good comp for Yuki to excel in. And I do like Gamers 2 as lineup.
Here's the caveat, though. Is he ever going to make use of the Kog'Maw passive? That zero death lane. He's giving up one of his abilities.
He's giving up his...
What are you doing, Yuki?
His burst potential goes down. He misses out on the true damage.
Ooh, so they're going for straight for an invade here. But actually, we see Freeze is looping around them. He's going to go get a ward onto their blue and set it up.
Okay, this is all kinds of interesting. So, yeah, he did manage to lurk
But does he
around.
walk back straight into them?
No, he knows they're in this lower jungle. He's going to go down to the lane and then back around, like, below that brush. He won't even get spotted.
Hope it's fast enough.
Oh, my God. No. Freeze.
Oh.
Freeze. Okay. That's safe. Actually, you can see them come out
There
and
we
be
go.
like, okay.
Okay, so now he knows that they left, which is a big part, and now they're invading. NIP is on the top left side, making sure Alex can get a deep ward in there.
I think Jawa saw him, though. So Jawa actually spotted this invade. Gamers 2 also, they don't know their blue is warded, but they know about the general position of the rest of NIP. In fact, they could even guess that the blue is warded just by seeing Twitch was down there by himself. So potentially, everyone actually knows what everyone's done.
Nope. Well, they know what Alex Cici's doing right now. He's down on a ward. He hit it once, gave it a nice smack.
Yeah. I'm not sure if they saw JWoww, actually. They pinged a brush to put a ward down in, but I'm not sure if they knew that JWoww was up in the top lane. So potentially they don't know about the defensive wards in Gamers 2 Northern Jungle, but realistically, it's going to be a pretty safe start to the game. Both junglers will start near their top laners, interestingly enough, without any much of a big leash. So
this means a lot of things.
Yeah, it does.
This means that they're going to go ahead and head most likely mid or bottom first, unless they loop back top and change their gank timing. But also, it's a 2v2 in the bottom lane. This is really big. You have Braum and Twitch versus a Thresh Kog'Maw. One of these lanes is a little bit better in the early game than the other. Can give you a hint.
It's the one that's good about to stun someone.
Yeah, Twitch's early game damage over Kog'Maw is ridiculous. You do have some harassment from Dude on the Thresh. If he gets a hook, that's fine, but you also have so many tools on the Braum in early game that really can keep this Twitch safe and amplify his damage. Just any hard CC with Twitch gets him more stacks for Contaminate. And this goes right into Freeze and Voidal right now. They're going to have to show off their synergy versus this tried and true lane of Dude. And they both hit level 2.
Some good damage going in. That's going to be a stun landed with the ward right there. Forcing the flash already, and there's the Unbreakable, forcing Kog'Maw away as well. Hook is going to hit Freeze. This could be bad. He's going to get flayed almost in a turret range. Very, very nearly in range for that one. Exhaust gets burned for nothing. So that is Dude losing 2 summoners and just trading health bars.
Yeah, gets no summoners out of NIP. Summoner spell advantage now for Freeze and Voidal. They don't give up a kill. They give up a lot of pressure, though. And Ko is going to immediately try and take advantage of that.
This is smart by Morden, though. He identifies the bot lane as the weak point that Eve could come in, and so he clears the jungle near the side of the map. He wants to be on the southern side. Yes, the time is convenient to his jungle pattern, but he needs to be on the side of the map.
Yes, and the big thing here, too, is that Ko, he's very, very familiar with Lee Sin. He knows that in a straight-up duel, Lee Sin will beat Evelynn if he gets counter-engaged on. So he's actually waiting to see Lee Sin first.
Yeah, so right now not too much is going to happen. There is one ward kind of near the mid lane that would spot some Lee Sin moves, but there's no wards at all to see Evelynn. She goes back for the bottom lane, and this time, actually, Morden is now on the wrong side of the map. This is going to be a guaranteed 3-on-2 with the lane pushing down.
If Morden shows himself on that ward at all, then it's going to be a 100% go sign. Look at how hesitant he is, right? He wants to know where Morden is, but he just doesn't.
They never got a ward in that second lane rush to see if Lee Sin was camping behind that, though. It's such a common trend for junglers to say, hey, our lane is pushing out. I'm going to wait in these wings for like 30 seconds to see if there's a counter gank. But with no one knowing if he was counter ganking or not, they just had to back off.
Yeah, Alex is pushed so far up, but Morden goes ahead and farms his golems instead of coming in from the side. Has no idea that it's warded or not. Communication not being there, 100%. You should keep your ward timers on your enemies. And also the fact that he hasn't seen Evelynn is pretty big, too. And the big thing here is that both junglers are actually respecting each other and saying, you have to show first. And now Ko is going to go try to find Morden.
He's going to get the big Wraith right here, so it's a little bit of counter jungling happening for the NIP jungler. Morden has backed once for that double longsword. We heard Diamond talk about that not too long ago, actually, in his interview. And one of the strengths of Lee Sin and the Lizard Elder junglers. So in terms of a brawl, Morden will be very strong. JWoww still having to respect Alex a little bit there. You can actually see 32 to 26 in minions. Alex is doing very well on this champion. We don't see him on very much, but he's succeeding with his first pick champ, so I gotta commend him for this performance so far.
Last time we saw him, he's playing Orianna top, and then he swapped into Shyvana afterwards. Yeah. It was...
To be fair, it was Orianna mid. He did lane swap.
Well, then he went top later. And
that's true, he did.
It was great.
It was a very interesting setup.
And now
he's the hell out of us in champ select.
Oh, yeah.
Or at least me. You might have had it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, what are they doing? Oh, but what is he doing?
Well, Ko's going to spot Morden. Yep, he pings the MAA. He does. I think
Morden saw him.
Yep, and now JWoww's going to be able to break the stealth a little bit too, so Ko's forced to back off. So far, none of these junglers have found a gank that works. There were opportunities, but as you pointed out, they've respected the counter gank, so nothing's happened yet.
It's just a game of chess, basically moving your pieces back and forth. So if you give any sign of weakness, any room, you reveal too much, somebody's going to go for it. And that could be what ends up happening here. Or he may just lose a couple camps because he saw Ko back.
Did he see him?
He saw him back. He was sitting in the bush.
Then they can dive this.
And he was able to see it. He knows that Ko is not there.
All right, well, you're seeing JWoww push all the way down. The
JWoww 6.
Are not dying all that quickly. There we go. JWoww is level 6. Alex just got to be super careful. He's trying to get the positioning there. There's the TF ulti as well. A lot of damage coming through. Alex actually stays alive. One hit from dead. And he's going to keep his team alive thanks to Exile's teleport.
They get Alex's flash. Exile ends up leaving the lane. So overall, though, it was very good for Gamers 2. Didn't take a lot of damage. None of them have to back. They can go ahead and continue farming. They get Exile, though, and Alex to both back.
So that was good. They forced the first TF ulti out, which is a 3-minute cooldown. And they got nothing for it. Not up for Dragon, not up for, I mean, next time that, the Jax's flash back up, or, those are going to be down for a while, I should say. So this actually gives a lot of room for Gamers 2 to do stuff now, and there's much less chance they get turned around on.
There's a lot of focus here that nobody's really showing all of their cards, because the junglers have been around every lane. They've tried to make a move pretty much around every lane except for mid. And bottom was the lane that blew 2 summoner spells on Dude, and yet there was no pressure there after a couple seconds afterwards. They just kind of let it go.
Yeah, so right now, speaking of let it go, this lane's going to be frozen for a little bit. Gamers 2 going to start up on their red buff there on the top side. Level 6 for Mort is going to make him happy. Yeah, there's the smile and nod. You got it.
Oh, no, I got it. I didn't want to bring attention to it. So Ko is going to hand off his blue buff to Exile.
And he's going to be happy to get this one. Of course, the cooldown reduction Will kick in time for his ult to come back up. 87 seconds left on Exile's Destiny. So we'll see if that comes up around 9 minutes into this game. Top laner is still holding fairly equal with Alex pulling a small lead. Ocelot doing actually very well in this lane.
I gotta say though, Exile's doing really well for himself too. Considering that Lulu's such a big lane bully, Twisted Fate will usually be out of mana trying to CS from a distance and not taking Glitter Lance harass. He's down 10 CS against Ocelot. Former LCS player here, Exile, trying to make his way into the LCS.
Well, so far, honestly, not too bad for these guys.
Yeah.
300 gold difference between NIP and Gamers 2. Of course, a large portion of that is the TF passive. Here's the first attempt now for Freeze. He is very alone in this one. Of course, he will get help from his support before too long. Level 5 for both duo lanes. Voidal close to 6 here. Same for Freeze. And you have just the barest of leads there for the AD carry there in gold. Both have backed for their Cutlass and Boots, though.
Level 6s are going to come out here for NIP first, just by a couple minions. We have Freeze already getting the Rat-a-tat-tat. I don't think
about one wave for Voidal.
Yeah, a dive is not going to happen. Ko is on the complete opposite side of the map here, trying to help Alex out.
Looking for the second attempt for a dive there. He's not going to get that one just yet, though. The ulti, though, is almost up for Twisted Fate. This could be a setup for a top lane force against JWoww.
They ping out Morden. They see him coming around, and they're actually diving Exile.
Ooh, this is going to be a little bit risky. He's going to sit towards the back. There comes the recall back behind the minion lines, but he is dangerously low. Morden puts the ward down. He's going to look for it.
There's minions there.
Yeah,
Can't Q through them.
Flash Q would be a little bit too risky. There comes the engage, though he went too hard for Alex as JWoww forced the flash away, and now Ko has the red buff, has the attacks coming down, a couple more Qs, one more, and he'll pick this one up, and there's the first blood. Well played. He baited that fight out, and it paid off.
I was sitting here thinking, Ko, not being on Lee Sin seemed to be kind of, he needed a crutch, but apparently he doesn't. But they're going to get a dragon for it here for Gamers 2.
There's a chance NIP can contest. TF ulti is up, teleports up for Alex Ich. There's the TP in for Dragon.
Straight into it, trying to get them off of it. Dragon's still hitting Morden.
Morden's going to have to go for this one. He knows the jungler's not around. Can he get the damage down in time? No, he's forced to get away from the fight, so it's actually a Dragon picked up for NIP at 10 minutes into the game. Dude, now in a very bad spot. He's going to hook someone in, but this is not great for him. The knock-up there. Voidal still chasing. The exhaust is down, though. Freeze showing up. The knockback, and Dude will be the first death in the entire Challenger Series for this bot lane. And that is not something that G2 wanted. So Ninjas in Pajamas, 2 kills and a dragon.
That was an amazing collapse there using the global pressure that they had. They get Morden out by throwing a yellow card at him as the TP comes in. No smite available. They pick it up with Twisted Fate right on top of it. JWoww comes in a second later, and they're diving Ocelot, and there's Ko.
And he's got nowhere to go. Another kill picked up there, 1-0-1. The actual Twitch poison grabs it, so Freeze is looking nice at 2-0-0. And Ninjas in Pajamas have taken control of this early game of 2 fights.
As the person they want the gold on, too. And although the Gamers 2 bottom lane did die once, it doesn't ruin their KDA yet.
So far, still 96.
Still 96. Very, very close to 100. Very close to triple digits, but that is their first death, just showing how good of a team NIP is. And despite the fact that they have 2 new members that they've only played about a week with at tops, they're still coming up huge. The global pressure that they just exerted is something that you don't see from a team that lacks communication. They were all on the same page. They all knew what they wanted to do, and there was a clear call.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't see any really hesitation in this Voidal Freeze lane. They're doing perfectly fine right here. Again, building a lead in the lane, getting those couple of kills early on now once they got into team fights. NIP has gelled together quite well. Alex Ich is still going to be this scary beast in the top lane. You know, same teleport cooldown as JWoww anyway, and he's just continuing to scale up his Jax with 2 assists under his belt.
Yeah, and Exile, although he hasn't gotten a kill for himself, he still showed up to the Dragon at the right place, applied the pressure that allowed Morden, or forced Morden out, and he got the Dragon. Coming up big for his team. Now they're at about a 3.7k gold lead, already 12 minutes into the game. Just kind of blew out of the gate.
Okay, so Ninjas in Pajamas so far have played their map pressure incredibly well. They've made really good snap decisions.
Morden's here, though.
Morden shows up, though, to turn around the fight in the top lane. Alex Ich does have flash. Dragon form is used. Alex low on the health bar, but he's still chasing down on JWoww. Nice kick and to knock him around as well. 500 health now.
Still going for it.
He's still trying, but Morden just deals all the damage. Alex doesn't even leave that fight, so well done there. Gamers 2 turn one back.
Yeah, decides not to leap strike and then flash out, but instead decides to just give his life up because there's a lot of pressure being caused mid.
You gotta be careful though, it is gonna be a lot of pressure. They're 4 versus 3, the knockup there onto Assault, the hook back, Ko is around, but a bit of damage comes in from Yuki, mid lane turret very low, Morden shows up, can he find the engage, gets the Q onto Voidal. Looks like he's not gonna chase just yet, but Dude could find a flay or a hook or something. The knockback T, if he pops the ghost, he's gonna get out.
Meanwhile, Ko just farming up the jungle.
Yep.
Tried to flank around the side, didn't work out for him. Now, he's gonna try to flank around the back end.
Gamers 2 gonna look for this mid lane turret. Of course, the respawns are back, and Alec is about
There's
to
the
start
ultimate from Ko available.
Oh, this could be big. Gigantic slow comes in, a huge shield for twice the health bar, and down goes the top laner. Morden also going to fall. Dude, he's gonna drop, having the KDA their duo lane. Now Yuki's gonna fall very quickly as well. Triple kill so far for Freeze. Another massive fight for NIP.
They now have a 32 KDA in that bottom lane.
Aww.
It just got crushed.
Ninjas in Pajamas doing an awesome job now for themselves. Mid lane turret going to fall, and they're going to keep on going, to be honest. The respawn's just now coming back. Tier 2 is also going to drop.
This was a fantastic, look at that shield that Ko gets off of that. Half of his HP, and the slow that allows Freeze to rat-a-tat-tat all across the team. They grouped up against this composition that has so much AoE pressure. They were very lucky that Voidal had used his ultimate previously under the turret. That could have been even more devastating.
Oh man, it really could have been. Not respecting the Evelyn, though, was a huge mistake, and Ko made them pay for it. He's going to be able to recall back from that one just safely. JWoww not able to stop him. And this game is all about Ninjas in Pajamas playing well as a unit. I mean, obviously they're very good individually, but the laning phase itself wasn't going one way or the other on its own. It was purely the fact that NIP made a lot of good moves. The fact that they could gank top lane, but TP back down, right? The fact that it was still going to be a 4-on-4. Like, so often you see, oh yeah, the top lane gank means a drag to the side. Not in this case.
Yeah, that was a huge bait. And the fact that, like, coming into this NIP, it was in question. They had lost Mithy and they lost Nuke Duck. 2 core pieces, but then they had already created a new core with Alex Each, Ko, and Freeze. Now they're just building off of that. They added Exile back in, very similar play style, and Voidal, who's just coming up big this game and assisting Freeze. He knows where he needs to be. He knows what he needs to do. And NIP, despite being a little bit of a patchwork team right now, they look very strong. I don't even see a hiccup.
Yeah, they're absolutely wonderful as a group of people right here. So we're going to have more items coming in. Voidal nearly getting faced the mountain. Blue buff there on Exile. Okay, so he's doing great. 0-0-4. 129 minions. Freeze still getting the gold here.
Yeah, this bottom is going crazy.
Gives him proc.
It's going absolutely crazy. 5-0-1 on a Twitch.
Yep.
0-1 on a Kog'Maw. At this point, Freeze can just show up next to Yuki and destroy him.
Yeah, and he's actually going for a build that enables that. He's going for the Yomu's build on Twitch, which is interesting. So if you count the active, the actual stats it gives, not even counting AD, are really similar to Static Shiv. You get the same attack speed and 5 less crit for about the same cost, but you also get like 30 AD and some armor pen and some CDR. So it's like, and because Twitch kind of has this either a 4-second window with his Q or a 6 or 7-second window with the rat-a-tat-tat, like that lines up with the 4 seconds of the Yomu's Ghostblade really accurately as well. So basically you just kind of all in on this 5 seconds of power. You kind of buy into that window and you just destroy people.
Yeah, and that's exactly what they're going for now. But now they're going for the Dragon, which is respawning right now.
And I don't see a way that Gamers 2 could faithfully contest this. The damage is going to come out. Should be a fairly easy one for Ninjas in Pajamas. And they're now up over 8,000 gold now, 60 minutes into the game. They've looked exactly awesome. Now, the new question is, old NIP from the beginning of the spring split took 60 minutes to close out games. They were a slow team. They took their time with these games. The roster has since changed 80% of their players. They're destroying right now. How good is NIP at closing out games?
That's the question they're going to have to answer themselves, because right now they have about a 9,000 gold lead. They look like they're closing it out, and previously they closed out their last game very quickly.
True.
Off the back of Ko. And because of that addition and the early aggression that they brought to the team, I think that Nuke Duck was a lot of the reason that they played such slow games. He had a very reserved style, even on Assassins. And now, they only have Freeze, this person who, the only veteran.
He's going for that ham build, right, with the Brutalizer. You know he wants some kills here. Code is going to stay alive on this one. Morden does not land the Q. Freeze.
Oh, hey-oh.
Okay, maybe a little more than you could chew on that one. It's okay. Sniffed it out. Saw it was a trap. He didn't spring it.
When Lee Sin talks about smelly enemies, it's definitely Twitch.
Yes, that's true. Tell he was around.
Now they're going to go ahead all 5-man this top lane. It's the right strategy here. They had the dragon already in their pockets, and now they get to push because they're just a lot stronger at this point.
All right, well, Ninjas and Pajamas right now not going to push. They're actually going to recall back. I think they've got a number of items to buy. Looks like Exile's going for the Lich Bane build, which will make him a much better sieger. Less a teamfight initiator, but that's fine. You just need to knock down turrets at this point in the game. Items come through. There's the Ether Wisp. There's some extra health and armor for Ko, so these guys are going to bulk up for these pushes in. This will be... I would not be surprised to see dives come in NIP just to force the issue. Gamers 2, though, they take the time of the recalls to push down mid, even though they have very, very little coverage of possible flanks. They just know they've got a couple seconds to go for that one. Nice land, you're going to keep themselves safe. Ko flash for that one, but it didn't matter.
Ultied, but they kept the turret alive.
Wow, you're right. Wow, they did, yeah.
Just barely. May force him to take the lantern a little sooner. Granted, Ko will not have his flash or his ultimate for a good while, and now he's roaming around the jungle.
Well, let's see now. Ko, gonna still stay happy with this one. Ocelot forced to walk around the back lines, but he's actually already on top of wards right there. He's gonna land the stun, he's gonna land the slow as well. Big damage comes out into Ocelot. They don't commit for it too hard because they were alone, and Alex stays splitting the top lane.
Freeze now has his Blade of the Rune King and Yumu's completed. He's looking for a pick somewhere in that side of the jungle, wherever he can get it. And now, actually, they're going to rotate towards blue and towards bottom now. Oh, they want to clear the bottom. They want to go after this turret, but they don't have a minion wave.
Oh, Alex is really way too aggressive right now. He's going to be very careful. Lands the CC a little bit. Warden, there's the flash away. Going to jump to another ward. Alex will stay safe. Freeze pushes up the bottom lane, and looks like they will group up for tier 2.
And here's the thing, too, is they're sitting all around this area. They could get somebody in rotation.
They got to be a little bit careful.
I saw Ocelot coming up. Didn't do anything about him, though.
Comes around the back end. Ko stays safe for now. Looks like no dives quite yet happening. Here's the wave, and they're going to actually go back somewhere else. So
Freeze is right on top of Ocelot. He's going for it.
He's going for the 1v1 ulti popped as well. A lot of damage comes through. The flash away keeps him safe. Now Freeze stuck in a bit of a 1v2, but there comes Exile. There comes the support as well, and that will be a kill picked up onto Dude. 8 to 1 the scoreline. That one worked.
They almost 3v1'd that. Then Exile came in and said, all right, you need my help.
3v3, and they got a kill quickly picked up there. That means bot turret is going to be going down rather rapidly here. Ninjas and Pajamas looking pretty great overall. 20 minutes in. They're now knocking on inhibitor turrets.
Yeah, and the Yumu's is almost back up now. He'll have that very, very shortly. Gonna go siege the second turret. Morden trying to come up and defend it. Meanwhile, Alex, he's gonna continue to push top and apply this pressure. He has the teleport available.
Yeah, so whenever he needs to join his team, he will do so. But until then, he's gonna start trying to knock down that tier 2 turret up there. Gamers 2 again is forced to pick up the scraps. You're seeing a 1-item AD carry. That Kog'Maw for Yuki still just on Blade of the Rune King. And just a long sword chilling there. Like, that's not a build that's going to break down a Jax right here. Whereas you're going to see the beginnings of a third item here for Freeze.
See what he ends up buying for himself. Right now, he's just looking for the assassination potential. He could kill anybody on Gamers 2 right now by showing up next to them. Shyvana's not tanky yet. Morden, he's just got offensive stats, but Twitch's offensive capabilities are much higher right now.
Yeah, they are scary, to say the very least. You saw him in the almost 1v3. Rune King is back available. Rat-a-tat-tat up at about 10 seconds as well. He's even going to get the red buff on top of all this. So he is fearsome, as he is smelly. Going to be good for that guy. Now the ward clearing starts for NIP. Looks like they're changing. There we go.
I was like, man, he's just going at whatever ward's in that bush. They were right on top of each other, so couldn't see the pink.
But there we go. We
got
got
it
it now. So yeah, NIP going for the attempt right there. Ko pops the ulti. Dude, ooh, knockup's gonna land, but it's gonna be pretty safe for this Kog'Maw there. Exile, can he get in on any of these fights? Looks like not so far. There's Alex, and Morden's gonna be going down rapidly. 1-for-0 so far, and NIP has control over Baron.
Freeze uses ambush, but right on top of a ward. They saw him go stealth, and he wants this.
Looks for Dude. Big damage. Hook's going to come out, but it doesn't really matter too much. That's going to be maybe not the kill picked up. They disengage now. Yuki's got to be a bit careful. Wow, a lot of heals come in. The jump over for Jay while Exhaust keeping Freeze safe. So just someone was traded, but yeah, Baron started.
Baron has been started. It's down to half HP, even without the AD carry there. Mostly Alex Itch just wailing on it, and they're going to get it for themselves off the back of Freeze, zoning off 2 members. Almost giving up his life, but gives up his flash instead.
Well done by these guys. 14,000 gold lead almost for Ninjas and Pajamas. These guys are super far ahead right here. 22 minutes in. Still a very quick clip in. And with Baron buff, are they going to buy first or are they going to start pushing?
Oh, it looks like they're going to go straight for the Dragon.
Dragon, all right.
Came up at 22.
None of the above.
11. Gets themselves more gold and then back. And see what they can do, group up after that. So they've inherited the NIP name, but none of their tendencies.
Not just, yeah, they're certainly grabbing all the gold on the map. Yeah.
I don't think they'll stall this game out. They have 15k gold lead.
Yeah.
At this point in the game, at 23 minutes, just a dominating performance. Freeze will most likely try to pick somebody off again, and then they'll get an objective from that. It's basically a pick comp, but instantaneously on top of you.
Yeah, I really do like how NIP are playing this game right here, because even though, like, yes, they could go for inhib, but they went for Baron instead, I think that's still the right choice. That was the safest choice. They set up the word control. As soon as someone checked, they just went for that kill, knowing it was going to be a secure kill because of their gold lead. Then once they force everyone back, like, great, we can use this the extra gold we get, plus the buff to say, okay, we can close it out from here. And so this is, I think, the push they go for.
Yeah. Against this composition, if you're gamers too, you need some type of early lead, whether it's a dragon, and you need to get ward vision and keep it all over the map. Because this is a composition with a teleport from Alex each, an Evelyn, a Twisted Fate, and a Twitch. Basically, Twitch shows up next to you, starts attacking you, and then boom, Evelyn's there too, Twisted Fate is there too. They all just converge on you in a moment's notice. You have to have complete ward coverage for that.
And right now, it's just not something that Gamers 2 really has. They just don't have the money to buy all these wards. 3,700 gold on Dio.
Oh my lord.
Not a lot.
Exile has almost twice the gold of Ocelot.
Yeah, that's massive. Pretty much down the line, you're seeing 50% leads in a lot of
Exile has the
categories.
most gold in the game.
Yeah,
he's just been CSing. He's been showing up, getting the assists for himself.
He's gambling on fights, and knowing that it's TF, he tends to win at gambles. So
yes, he does. Passive coming up big too.
Yes, absolutely. That's the case here. Ko's going to walk in. He's going to see Morden and
both three.
Man ulti. The box comes down. There comes Voidal. The Naga's going to come in. Nice ulti on top of that one. And Dude will go down. So will Yuki. These guys just finding their way in. A double kill for Ko, making him 4-0-4. And, back in the jungle he goes.
Yep. Meanwhile, in Alex land, smacking away at these minions, going for a split push again against JWoww, just keeping their tankiest member, the only person who could actually take about 2 shots from Freeze, occupied. Now they're going to get an inhibitor at 25 minutes in the game. They're Baroned up. They're looking for more, though. They have this second wave just pushed up all the way on this inhibitor, and they're going to go for it.
NIP look good. They're going to go for the second inhibitor as well. It could be about 15 seconds after the first one went down. Freeze does pop Yomus. He's going to keep putting the damage out, though, on this one. And the second inhib does fall. So Ninjas in Pajamas making a lot of great plays. And now just the base is in shambles.
Yeah, I think a big part of this is from champion select. NIP, we talked about it. They basically locked in Jax. Then it was Lulu and Lee Sin. Then they got Braum and Twitch.
Yeah.
Everything went in their favor from champion select from the first 3 picks they got.
They got a lot of great champs, and all those guys have worked exceptionally well for these guys. Now top lane tier 2 also going to fall, and Ninjas in Pajamas, as a group of players, they've made so many good moves. They've snowballed their lead every step of the way, and I haven't seen a single crippling mistake from these guys.
Yeah, that is really, really big right now, because now they're sieging the very last inhibitor turret in the game for them. They have to go straight for this and just let the other waves push. It's very, very simple. They just have to have Freeze do auto attack damage to it, lay off a bit. Alex doesn't care, and they're smacking down, and they might go for an engage afterwards. But no,
they don't even need to. They've got buildings to kill. Those things can't run away. You can't lantern the inhibitor back into the base. So
disregard champions, acquire inhibitor.
Acquire structures, and there we go. All 3 inhibs dead. Baron buff is off the team. Ninjas in Pajamas. They could take the time just to recall back and shop one last time. Freeze looked very aggressive.
He's on him.
And Dude is not going to abide by that. Down he goes. And now the jump in for Fate as well. Ulti pop, that's going to be Yuki cut out on this one. Morden off the back lines does find Exile, though. He's forced to run away from this one. Low health bars, but enough to keep himself alive anyway. Another kill comes in onto Yuki. 0-3 and 0 on the Kog'Maw. 0-5-0 on the Thresh. This bot lane of NIP have done so well in the game. And it's going to be both turrets going down. Perfect fantasy points there for NIP as a group of 5. And there we go. Down goes the Nexus. 27-minute game. Exile survives at the end. NIP looks scary.
27 minutes. Definitely not the NIP style. Completely different team. Freeze is the only person remaining from that original roster we saw back in spring, and now they've brought out Exile and Voidal. and they've come up big this game. They
Yes, they
shut
have.
down Yuki and Dude, the deathless bottom lane, and they made Yuki use that Kog'Maw passive a couple times.
Yep, he got 3 of them out, I believe, in that one, and got some true damage out there. But I gotta say, incredibly, incredibly impressive by NIP. It's kind of all I can say about this game. Gamers 2 just looked outmatched. Individually, player-wise, they were fine. There was, from the laning phase, a tiny gold lead to NIP, and that was the TF passive, basically. But otherwise, it was dead even. It was the fact that these guys found ganks, the gank in the top lane, followed by the teleport down to the dragon. Like, it was the teamwork that was very obviously better for Ninjas in Pajamas.
Yeah, despite them being a patchwork and a new team up against Gamers 2, that basically their selling point coming into this match was their teamwork and the fact that they've been with each other for a long time since the beginning of the Challenger series here.
Mm-hmm.
They looked a lot like a new team. They were very much in shambles, NIP just showing them their weaknesses. They went with a Protect the Kog'Maw comp because they put a lot onto Yuki and Dude's back.
Yeah.
But up against Freeze, who got a very early game lead as Twitch, you can't do that. Twitch is going to show up right next to Kog'Maw and destroy him, alongside Twisted Fate, if he doesn't blow him up initially, alongside Evelyn, who's probably there in the flanks, and a Jax TP. And then they got the Dragon off of that great play.
Yeah.
Like, I want to go back to that play.
I do too. It's what the game hinged on.
Because Ko went top, the first gank of the game, gets first blood for himself, and then you're thinking, okay, typical strategy. We talked about it before. You see the jungler top, time to go get Dragon. Basically, NIP reads Gamers 2 like a book and say, you guys are going to go do Dragon right now. I know what you're going to do. Go straight there, teleport, Twisted Fate ultimate, Destiny Gate, right on top of Morden. Get him out of there, get the Dragon for themselves, and get a 3K gold lead about 12 minutes, 16 minutes into the game, actually. It's crazy.
And the thing is, like, let's actually break down the elements of that, because I like breaking those things down a little bit further. And so,
break it down for me.
If you want to repeat that success at home. So normally when you go for a dragon fight, right, like, certain things have to actually work in your favor. You can't just be like, junglers there, show up, because of course you can creep check is the term from games I used to play. You kind of creep check them at the dragon. You gank them at dragon, whatever term you want to use here. But the fact that the bot lane is holding equal, right? The fact that NIP's bot lane was fine. Like, if their bot lane's injured, they're out. You can't 2v4 that. It is impossible. You will lose that battle, and it's not worth trying. But the fact that they show up as 4, Gamers 2 shows up as 4, and you're like, that's fine, we can 4v4 you, and we're all healthy, right? Jax took no damage during that fight. Twisted Fate was not pushed out of the lane either by Lulu. Like, those guys were fine. And then you still have Braum and Twitch able to just follow in from behind. That's perfectly safe and healthy because they weren't shut down. They weren't damaged, right? Gamers 2 didn't Dragon because they pushed people out of lane. They Dragoned because they thought they just had a 4v3 when that wasn't the case. And that's a gigantic risk to not track a teleport cooldown, to not track the fact that they will just show up in from behind you. And so without getting any lane advantages, without forcing a recall, you don't really even still get to do that.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually a little bit greedy. Like, normally the reason ganks work is because all your lanes are already pushed. Like, that's why people gank, is because there's this overextension somewhere. But if the only overextension is top lane, you don't get to do that anymore.
Yeah. It was kind of a feint. It's basically, we're putting a lot of resources top. No, we're not.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We're all at Dragon. You've taken a lot of Dragon damage because it's 60 minutes into the game. You don't have any defensive stats on your Lee Sin.
Yeah.
It caught me off guard, too. I was like, okay, they're going to go for Dragon. No standard. Oh, wait a second.
Yeah, there's
You were like,
teleports.
actually, haha.
It's like, Alex is full health, man. Like, if
Oh, boy.
And I also want to tell on Alex here, right?
Yes.
So we talk about the fact that NIP is playing well strategically. I attribute a lot of this to Alex Ich. Just because he was kind of the like, I don't want to say makeshift, that's not the right kind of term, but like, he was like basically the coach and analyst for the team, right? All these years of experience with Gambit Gaming or Moscow 5 or Empire, depending how far back you go, right? Hyper experienced player. You talked about it in pregame, where it's like he wanted to play top lane because he could bring his competitive experience to that lane and make a lot of good decisions. And the old Gambit that fans know and love is hyper aggressive. They take heavy risks because they know they're good and they know they'll make the right calls.
And they're innovative.
Yeah, and they're innovative. That game looked a bit Gambit-esque, like spring 2013 Gambit-esque, or old Moscow 5, where it's like they're going to come at you because they know what's going on, right? They're going to make plays that you maybe haven't seen very much before. Like, it's honestly rare to see you gank top lane, then also contest Dragon. That's not that frequent of an occurrence, but Alex, I think, leading the team, right, making a lot of these calls, even from the top lane, but teleporting down, making the plays with himself as well as his team. Like, these guys have gotten the ball rolling really, really well.
Yeah, and they're all around in the house together.
Yes.
They have that analyst now, Clement, who was the former NIP analyst before, coming in, maybe laying down some secret strats for him. We'll have to see.
Why not?
But so far, they look really, really good. Alex was the only death of the game, though. Sacrifice.
It's okay.
Top laner's duty.
That's when you say worth it. One's okay.
Yeah, it was really worth it because a 27-minute game is worth it in anybody's book. You're just like, oh, that game ended pretty quickly. Let's go get a drink of water. Let's go suit up. Basically, do more of the same in this best of 3.
Yeah.
See if they can pull it out. Because, man, 27 minutes is well below the game average right now in terms of time for European Challenger Series.
Yeah, those are like in the mid-30s. So these guys are like 8 to 10 minutes like faster than the normal win right here. So certainly
in the semifinals.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Gamers 2 is not a team that you just roll over.
No.
They are a very competitive team. They've gone through 4 games, pretty much crushing until they got here.
Yeah.
And now NIP staring them in the face. With a new roster, you come into it, you're like, okay, maybe we'll be a little lax, but no.
But they're still awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to be fair, I wanna correct your point, just to be silly about it. They're a team you roll over if you're that good.
Okay.
Right? Like, G2 are not pushovers, but if you're that good, maybe they are, right?
Okay.
It's like, we saw some great teams get destroyed at Worlds.
Nobody knew how good NIP was going to be coming into this.
Of course
You're like, okay, we have a lot of great named people in here. We have top 5 challenger players.
You expect them to be good,
and then you're like, okay, we got Exile versus Ocelot. See how this shapes up. Well,
fine.
Most gold in the game for Exile. Yeah, pretty much done deal right there. Let's that game is in our match history.
13K to 7K in individual gold. Yeah, it's a bit of a lead for that guy.
That was crazy because Exile, he's a player that we haven't heard a lot from, and I have heard that he's very similar to Nuke Duck style in terms of play. But right there, just showed he's a facilitator for his team. He's always going to show up. He's going to do consistent in lane. Beating Ocelot in lane is not an easy task.
No.
He's a very, very good player. He's known for having great Orianna shockwaves, being a great setup for his team. Don't know if they'll go back to that in game 2. Maybe have Ocelot on something that can carry a little more.
Yeah, I do have to think about what Gamers 2 does differently then when they want to kind of come at this one in a different way. Because, again, it all, I think, did snowball the Dragon fight. I thought individually they held up. The specific thing I want to actually call out is actually JWoww. So he went 0-3 and won that game. But the entire game, he was keeping up with Alex. Like, as far as gold differences go, he was 8K to 10K, which is the least bad in terms of, like, compare. Like, they're the least difference, right? Like, Voidal, like, literally doubled Dude's gold, for example, 8K to 4K, right? But as far as disparities go, that was the smallest disparity. He was actually equal in CS, 189 to 216 by the end of the game. And it was actually, he was like +2 right before that last push. So, like, JWoww straight up held up in a matchup where his opponents first picked.
Yeah.
And he's fighting Alex, who's, like, been in the professional scene for, like, 3 years now. So, like, JWoww's doing real good.
Oh, yeah.
You can key off that player as long as you don't get caught out. The fact that Ko ganked him and took him away from the Dragon fight was big. The fact that he couldn't show up for the battle. The fact that the gold lead snowballed everywhere else. But, like, if you can capitalize on JWoww, or you can capitalize on the fact that Ocelot was holding equal, right? But you get away from those missed calls, and you capitalize on the guys who are doing well. I think there's a way in.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you have to find those weaknesses. You have to exploit them. And JWoww was even in levels, too, which is a big thing because there was huge level disparity all throughout the lanes. We saw that Freeze was level 15, Yuki, level 11. He just got his level 2 ultimate when the game ended.
Yes.
That's right. Crazy. Crazy fast from NIP.
Yeah. I mean, you got some level 15 on the side there, so you got to imagine that's going to be a rough one. So that's going to do it for us on this one. Of course, Game 2 is going to come up, so we're going to see if NIP can advance to the finals or if Gamers 2 can even the score. We'll find out after this quick break. Stick around. Goes the top laner. Morden also going to fall. Dude, he's going to drop, having the key in the Aether duo lane. Now Yuki's going to fall very quickly as well. He's going to see Morden and 3-man ulti. The box comes down. There comes Voidal. The Naga's going to come in. Nice ulti on top of that one, and Dude will go down. So will Yuki.